What's going on, everybody? Futuro Productions here. We're back with Chris Eating Green. Yes, the man himself, the myth, the legend, the masterpiece. We're here with him today at the Victorian in Chaman, New Mexico. Thank you to John and Veronica for hosting us.
Yeah,
really
cheers,
appreciate that. Anyways, so we've been doing the Durango and Silverton, the Cumbres and Toltec for the past week and a half, thereabouts.
Yeah.
All right, so we're basically just, relaxing for the weekend until we have to go back home next week. So Chris is going off to Cass. I'm going home. So we just, figured to sit down, do a little bit of an interview. So we got some questions here for him. But for those who don't know you, Chris, why don't you tell them a little about yourself?
So, I'm a freelance filmmaker from the UK who produces short documentaries about steam engines type by type. I've been doing it for about 10 years now, and to celebrate that milestone, I've come to America to review some steam engines here. And thanks a lot to everybody who helped me to raise the money to do so. Thank you for everyone who's contributed to the crowdfunding campaign that helped me to get here. I'll try not to let you guys down.
Yeah. So you've reviewed what so far? You reviewed the...
Too much.
Okay.
More than I can remember.
I meant in the U.S.
Well, I haven't finished anything yet.
Well, what have you worked on thus far in the U.S.?
Oh, it depends when this will go out, because I would have probably done more stuff by the time this goes out. But
it'll probably go out by, when I get home. This is one of the first things I'm going to upload. Anything that's, vlog related to, this entire trip, that's not going to come out until Chris does his stuff with Slips in the USA. So
yeah.
That's just common courtesy, I think.
Well, if you say so, but yeah.
Alright, so, basically, Chris has worked on the switchers. I always mispronounce their name.
Jones and Laughlin.
Jones and Laughlin switchers.
Over in Pennsylvania and Ohio.
Right. He's done a little bit of the American 440. Anyways, so we got the questions here. They're just basically standard questions you would ask a YouTuber or anything like that. But I threw in a little, train-related ones, maybe a few special ones from a certain reverend. I'll leave that up to your imagination.
God rest him.
Yeah. But anyways, so let's get started with this review. First question, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like doing in your spare time?
What spare time? I don't get much. Just anything that people normally like doing in their spare time that's not mean-spirited or anything like that. I love spending time with my girlfriend. I love spending time with friends. I just love not thinking about work,
Yeah.
when I ever get the chance to, but I still like what I do anyway.
Right. And you told me you played guitar.
I do.
Yeah.
That's one of the other things I do, as well as travelling, as well as gawping over classic cars. Just that sort of stuff, really.
Alright. Second question. What would be a good theme song for your life?
I like Big Tits by Joe Walsh. I genuinely don't know. I've never really thought about it, to be honest.
That's gonna get bleeped out.
Why? It's not the F word, it's not the S word.
Alright, fair enough. Alright. Third question.
Go on.
What is the dumbest way you've been injured?
Dumbest way I've been injured? That's a good one. I don't know, really. I mean, I suppose possibly the dumbest way I've been injured was when I was a kid. I was playing on this little adventure playground, and I went down a slide, and what was at the bottom of it? A bee. So a bee stung me on the arse when I was a kid. The pain in the arse had a pain in his arse for a while.
Okay, so now this one's a bit of an American question for a UK individual, so let's hope we don't piss off anyone, because apparently American football is not football, it's soccer. I mean, yeah, they would call this, soccer, how do I put this? They call soccer football, yes. We call it soccer. So, that gets kind of a little confusing. I hope I don't piss off anyone.
We call soccer football, but you guys, we call what you call football rugby, basically.
Yeah, I hope we really don't piss anyone off. Alright, but
let's see what happens.
Yeah. If you were given a 1-minute ad slot during the Super Bowl, what would you fill it with?
don't know, to be honest.
You wouldn't fill it with like your slip stuff?
No. Nobody needs to see those.
Okay.
But I don't know really. If I had more than a 1 minute slot, I'd fill it with a music video of some sort, but not
Lockdown?
Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, he has a friend that made him a song for Gauge the Issue. It's called Lockdown.
Well, he didn't make it for Gauge the Issue specifically, but he just let me use it.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much, yeah.
Thanks again, John and guys.
Yeah. Alright, so, what would be on the blooper reel of your life?
Pretty much anything that's on my usual blooper reels.
Yeah.
Just more added extremities, I suppose.
Yeah, so basically there's whenever he does a Slips volume, he always has a blooper reel from when it was filmed, because like he usually gets interrupted, like let's say a steam engine just like whoop, whistles and he's like shush, or an airplane flies over, he's like fucking airplanes, just shoots him down with like imaginary AA guns. I'll probably drop a clip of that in, I don't know.
It's normally just me being incompetent and not remembering my lines that I'd just written, so...
Yeah, but it's funny nevertheless, at least to me. What is your favorite movie?
Ooh, David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia, without shadow of a doubt. There's just everything about that film is just epic, I feel. I love it.
I think personally for me, I'd fall more in the animated category.
Mm-hmm.
I do like, for train movies at least, The Runaway or Emperor of the North.
Mm-hmm. Titfill Thunderbolt for me.
Titfill, yeah,
Definitely.
right. I have yet to see Titfill Thunderbolt. Titfill Thunderbolt. Don't shoot me, please. I'm going to eventually. Okay.
Yeah, there's no pressure. Don't worry.
All right. Do you get used to being a well-known filmmaker?
No, not really, because I'm not that well known anyway.
Well, I mean,
But it's weird. I've never ever considered myself that famous. Like in all the years I've been doing this, because like, okay, a lot of people stop me at railways and say, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you," or whatever, and it's really nice that they do. So thanks again for your support, everybody.
Right.
But I don't know. I've never really wanted to get big-headed about it, because the moment you get big-headed about it is like the moment you start going downhill. And what's always been more important to me is that everybody like engages with the subject matter more than they engage with me. It's more important to me that people get sort of influenced into railway preservation as a result of what I do, rather than my ego being bruised or fueled, because last thing I need is ego fuel.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
All right. Who is your inspiration?
There's so many. Because my inspirations go anything from like engineers to film directors to rock stars.
Well, let's say railway specifically to narrow it down.
Railway specifically. Okay, so Fred Dibner, definitely.
Okay, so for the audience, who is Fred Dibner?
So he was his trade was in what they call steeplejacking, which was basically, it was maintaining age-old buildings, but then when he came on the scene, sort of late 60s, early 70s, and then rose to fame in the late 70s, his job was primarily knocking down old factory chimneys. But he was heavy into like steam preservation as well. He owns a steamroller and a traction engine, and he got involved in a number of other heritage-related projects down the years. Towards the end of his life, he was presenting documentaries for the BBC about the Industrial Revolution and steam technology and all that fancy jazz. But he was a real character. He was someone who you just could not imitate or replace or anything like that. He was plain spoken. He relied on good old-fashioned common sense. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind about certain issues, and he was just someone who was a big loss to the heritage sector when he passed away.
Yeah.
So God rest you, Fred.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything.
All right. So this one's the big loaded one. Okay.
Is it now?
Yes. Okay.
Go on.
So you're given $1 million American or pounds. It doesn't matter which one you choose.
Okay.
You have the entire world's preserved railway locomotive and rolling stock collection in front of you, and they all need some sort of restoration. Okay. You can restore any of them to cosmetic or operational condition, or for the same amount of money, you can do a new build locomotive, but either option has to be done within the $1,000,000 or pounds budget. What would you do? Restore or build? What locomotive and why?
Restore the Adams radial tank at the Bluebell Railway simply because everybody who's been down the Bluebell wants to see that particular engine run. You know, I'm sure there are others who would rather see other engines run down there, like the North London tank or the Sheepdog or Stepney. But the Adams radial is one of those which was a big part of the Bluebell's early history, hasn't run for well over 30 years because its boiler was condemned, and it was the former Bluebell Railway Preservation Society chairman's favourite. You know, it was the one thing that he had two objectives before he retired that he wanted to get done. One was for the railway to reach East Grinstead. He did that within his reign as chairman, and the other was to have the Adams radial restored to running condition because that was his favourite engine. And well, I would just like, in his honour, really, to make sure that that's done.
Okay.
If the money was there.
Right. All right. Do you speak any other languages?
Not fluently.
Well, what do you speak, even though not fluently?
So I used to be able to remember enough. Well, I suppose I do still remember enough French to get me a loaf of bread. I know enough German to get me a pint of beer. I know enough Russian to say that I'm ill and I'm lost and where am I. And I know enough Portuguese to tell you to sod off, basically.
What about Welsh? Do you know any Welsh?
Apart from Bonada and Pebble Daffy CD, which I've probably completely up. Sorry, Welsh. To any Welsh members of our audience. But
right, but it's easier to say Talclin and Dolgok than it is, you know.
Yes.
See, I can't even do it, and I'm American, and I've studied these things.
Well, from my experience, a lot of people who live in Wales sort of prefer the anglicised place names to the Welsh ones.
Really?
Like, there's one on the Vale of Rheidol Railway called Aberfrwd, and a lot of people say it as Aberfast Forward, because that's how it's spelled.
Aberfast Forward?
Yeah, because it's Aber FFWD.
Oh my god. Alright. Where would you like to visit?
Everywhere, within reason.
But anywhere specifically? Like, is there one location that you could pick out in the world that you could go to?
To say that I've done it, I would love to visit the Gates of Hell in Turkmenistan. So you probably don't know what that is, do you?
No.
So years and years ago, some workers who were laying a gas rig in Turkmenistan dropped it, and they decided instead of repairing it, they decided to just let the excess gas burn off. It's this big crater in the ground in Turkmenistan which has just been burning for decades and decades, and
so it's literally called the Gateway to Hell.
It's the Gates of Hell, because that's what it looks like. It's just a huge crater full of burning gas.
And no one's thought to turn it off.
I don't know what the politics and the manpower and so on would be involved in turning it off, but no, it's just been sat there burning for ages.
And it still works, apparently. Alright.
If anyone can sort of emphasise or elaborate more on why it just keeps burning, then feel free to let us know in the comments, because we'd love to know.
Yeah.
I'd love to know especially, so.
Alright, fair enough. Alright. Now, I know you said you don't consider yourself famous, but if you weren't famous, what would you be up to right now?
I told you I'm not famous to start with. So, but I suppose if I wasn't filmmaking, then I would still be working in engineering, because that's what I was doing beforehand.
Okay. What did you work on when you were an engineer?
Nothing that exciting, really. When I left school, I knew that I wanted to do something on steam engines, but I wasn't quite sure what. So I thought, well, I like learning about the technical aspects about them. Why don't I try working on them for a living? And so I started volunteering at places like the Bluebell and the Kent East Sussex whenever I could. But then I ended up, because it was more local to me, I ended up taking a job in a little machine shop about 5 to 10 minutes drive from my place, where they used to repair. Their background was in building specialist motorbike engines for grass track and so on. But by the time I started working there, they were building just about anything that could just about pay the bills. So they were making machine parts for Coca-Cola for their local UK plantation.
Right.
They were building prototype gearboxes for Lotus, which would then go away to be copied by mass manufactured by the Malaysians or wherever was constructing them. We still did like motorbike engines
Right.
for grass tracks, and we were attached to a firm that specialised in repairing old BSAs and Vincents and other classic motorbikes like that. But as I say, we were doing just about everything we could to make sure that we didn't go under.
Right. And then you did this. Then
I went insane and started making films for a living.
Do you regret it at all?
No, not even slightly. I mean, okay, you could say that well, actually, no, I don't even regret going into engineering, because at the time I thought it was what I really wanted to do. But when I started working there, I was the youngest in my firm by about 30 odd years. So there was a lot of age discrimination going on, and stuff to do with hierarchies, and that sort of ended up invaliding me out, basically. Right. I call it stress-related exhaustion, or I just got fed up with it. One of the two, but either way, we're here now, so there we are.
All right. Okay, this one's the second to last question. What is one message you would give to your fans?
Always consider yourself your own heroes. It's easy to look up to other people, and say to yourself, I wish I could be more like them. I need to try and be more like them in life. But actually, if you sort of are able to sort of sanction your own inner traits, inner personality, and find out more about yourself, then that's really the best person that you can become. You're only ever good at being yourself, and everyone has the ability and is able to be their own hero in their own regard. So, and they should never shoot themselves down for just because they think, oh, I wish I could be more like Fred Dibner, or more like Jeremy Clarkson, or whoever they look up to.
Right. Yeah.
But it's all very well having people to look up to, and try to follow. But actually, the best person that you can really be is yourself. So that's why I say to them that they're all their own heroes, because you guys are.
All right. The last question, a very Reverend W. Audrey one for you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to be remembered about you?
I never really gave that any thought, because I didn't think anyone would really want to remember me, to be honest. But what would I like people to remember me by? I suppose just as, I don't know, whether some random guy on the internet who talked crap about steam engines. I don't really know. But I suppose as someone who was passionate about steam engines and wanted to pass that passion on to future generations, so that we could all, so that railway preservation could continue, really.
All right. Well, that was my interview with Chris Eden Green. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please go check Chris's website out at
egmedia.co.uk.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's it from now. I'm Future Rail Productions, and this is Chris Eden Green signing off.
Cheers, guys.